What if the oil you fry with every single night is doing something you can't see and can't taste? Not rancid, not spoiled, not expired. Just quietly breaking apart under heat and releasing compounds that your arteries don't know how to handle. There's a specific threshold where common cooking oils stop being food and start producing free radicals and a harmful compound called HNE. 10 of the most popular oil brands on shelves right now are sitting right at that edge, and most people have no idea. Number 1, Mazola corn oil. That claim is real, and it's also completely beside the point. It's based on plant sterols, which can lower LDL cholesterol in controlled conditions. What it doesn't tell you is what happens when that oil hits a hot pan. Corn oil runs between 54 and 58% linoleic acid, one of the highest of any common cooking oil. Linoleic acid is a polyunsaturated fat, and polyunsaturated fats have double carbon bonds that break apart under heat. When those bonds break, they react with oxygen and form aldehydes, including one called HNE, 4-hydroxynonenal. Your arteries absorb HNE directly, and lab studies have linked it to oxidative stress and vascular damage. The FDA approved that heart healthy label based on cholesterol science, not frying chemistry. Those are two entirely different conversations. Number 2, Wesson vegetable oil blends. Wesson's standard blend is primarily soybean oil, which runs between 50 and 60% linoleic acid. But before it even reaches your kitchen, it goes through a process called hexane extraction, where a petroleum-derived solvent pulls oil from crushed seeds. That hexane is supposed to evaporate off during refining. Most of it does, and the FDA doesn't require any testing or disclosure for whatever trace amounts stay behind. The refining process also strips out the oil's natural vitamin E, which normally slows down oxidation. So you're getting an oil that's lost its built-in protection, arrived in your kitchen already vulnerable, and carries a high polyunsaturated fat load on top of that. Vegetable isn't a quality signal, it's just a category name. Number 3, Crisco, canola/vegetable oil. Crisco built its name on partially hydrogenated vegetable oil, which turned out to produce trans fats. When regulators banned trans fats, Crisco reformulated into canola and vegetable oil blends. Cleaner label, same heat problem. Canola oil is lower in linoleic acid than corn or soybean oil, so that sounds like progress. But canola is high in alpha-linolenic acid, an omega-3 fat with 3 double carbon bonds instead of 2, and those extra bonds make it oxidize faster under heat, not slower. There's also a PFAS concern. Independent testing found canola oil had the highest rate of organic fluorine markers among cooking oils tested, and the likely source is fluorinated lubricants used on processing machinery that transfer trace compounds directly into the oil. Reformulating to pass a regulation isn't the same as fixing the problem. Number 4, great value, Walmart vegetable oil. Under $3 for a large jug means hexane extraction, full refining, high heat deodorizing, and bleaching, just to make the oil look and smell acceptable. The refining alone runs the oil through temperatures that would already trigger oxidation in your kitchen, so it's compromised before it even ships. Then you bring it home in a clear plastic jug and store it under light for weeks. Light and oxygen are the two fastest ways to break down a polyunsaturated oil, and a clear plastic container blocks neither. So when you finally cook with it, you're not starting with a fresh oil. You're starting with an oil that's already oxidizing, and high heat just accelerates what the refining process already started. Number 5, Kirkland Signature vegetable/canola oil. Costco's value pitch works great for paper towels and canned goods. For canola and vegetable oil, buying a gallon jug creates a problem that gets worse every single time you open it. Each time you crack that lid, oxygen rushes in and starts breaking down the polyunsaturated fats inside. And that process doesn't stop when you close it again. What makes this worse is that rancid oil doesn't always smell bad. Mild oxidation produces compounds that are odorless, so you can be cooking with oil that's already generating harmful byproducts at room temperature and have no idea anything went wrong. Experts specifically warn against buying unstable oils in large containers because the oil degrades long before the jug empties. Number 6, Members Mark, Sam's Club vegetable oil. Members Mark, Sam's Club's house brand, and it's the same soybean base, same heavy refining, same clear jug as everything else in this category. But soybean oil does something the other oils on this list haven't gotten into yet. When you eat a lot of linoleic acid over time, it doesn't just pass through. It gets pulled into your fat cell membranes, and those cells start expanding beyond their normal size. Oversized fat cells dump excess fatty acids into your bloodstream, which triggers inflammation and pushes your body toward insulin resistance. Some researchers call the shift towards seed oils the single biggest change to the American diet in the last 150 years, and linoleic acid intake has roughly doubled since then. Your cooking oil isn't just a frying medium. It's remodeling your cells every time you use it. Number 7. Happy Belly, Amazon vegetable oil. Happy Belly doesn't make its own oil. Amazon contracts with third-party producers, and those producers can change based on cost and availability. So the oil in your bottle today likely came from a completely different facility than the one you bought last time. Processing practices, storage conditions, and contamination risks all vary between factories. You also can't see what happened between the factory and your door. Amazon warehouses aren't temperature controlled for food storage, and heat accelerates oxidation in polyunsaturated oils fast. During supply chain disruptions, ingredient sourcing shifted so frequently that tracing batch-to-batch consistency became nearly impossible even for professionals monitoring it. You're buying a label, not a known product. Number 8, Saffola refined vegetable oils. The oils in Saffola's blends lean heavily on safflower, and safflower oil runs between 70 and 78% linoleic acid. That's higher than corn oil, higher than soybean oil, and higher than almost anything else on a grocery shelf. The heart health marketing is built on the same cholesterol argument we've already seen. Linoleic acid lowers LDL in lab conditions, so the brand gets positioned as cardiac friendly. But Indian cooking runs hot. Tempering spices in oil, deep frying, sustained stir frying. These are exactly the conditions where a high linoleic oil breaks down fastest and pumps out the most HNE and other aldehydes. The oil that scores well on a cholesterol chart performs worst in the pan you actually cook with every day. Number 9. Fortune, refined sunflower/soybean oil. Fortune and sunflower oil gets a pass from most people because it seems light and neutral and modern. It doesn't feel heavy. That feeling is misleading. Refined sunflower oil runs around 65 to 70% linoleic acid, and that linoleic acid gets pulled straight into your cell membranes when you eat it regularly. Once it's there, it can interfere with how your cells respond to insulin, making fat cells less sensitive to the signals that tell them to stop storing. That's the insulin resistance pathway, and it doesn't require a frying pan to activate it. You can trigger it with salad dressing. Fortune's refining process also strips out the vitamin E that would normally slow oxidation inside your body, so you're getting the full linoleic acid load with none of the natural protection that came with it originally. Number 10. Dalda, Vanaspati/hydrogenated oil. Dalda is the one where the science isn't still being studied. The harm is documented, regulated, and in many countries already banned. Dalda is a vanaspati, which means it's a hydrogenated vegetable oil sold as a cheap substitute for ghee. Partial hydrogenation turns liquid oil solid by forcing hydrogen onto the fat's carbon chains, and trans fats come out the other side as a direct byproduct. Trans fats raise your LDL, drop your HDL, and drive cardiovascular disease harder than almost any other fat science has studied. The US banned partially hydrogenated oils. Large parts of South Asia haven't, and dalda is still a default cooking fat in millions of kitchens. The real irony is that ghee, the fat dalda was designed to replace, is heat stable, naturally saturated, and doesn't produce trans fats at all. Every oil on this list shares at least one of three problems: too much linoleic acid, too much processing, or a hydrogenation history with documented harm. None of them are your only option. Ghee, butter, refined avocado oil, and refined coconut oil all hold up under heat without breaking down into aldehydes because they're high in saturated or monounsaturated fats. Extra virgin olive oil works well for low heat cooking and raw use. These oils come from fruit or animals, not seeds dissolved in industrial solvents. Stop buying clear jugs. A heart-healthy stamp tells you nothing about what that oil does at frying temperatures. Subscribe now and I'll show you what to avoid and what's actually safe. Drop a comment below with the oil you're currently using and I'll tell you exactly where it falls on this list.